So you want to build a summer camp? Where do you even begin?
It was a dilapidated and desolate environment.
Who would ever buy such a place?
For $175,000 to have a campus with its own lake at a price that was unbelievable, except it had to be paid for. We need to have somebody who had knowledge of construction, and I had heard that there was Zvi Reich.
There wasn't one bunk that was standing on its foundation.
And within less than 3 months, they opened a camp.
June 28, 1964, but we had no idea what we were getting into.
Now, it was a long trip. Route 17 had not been built yet to that part of the country. We had to go through a lot of small towns at 25 miles an hour. This was the spring of 1964.
I actually remember the bus ride up and the excitement on the bus.
When I got off the bus in 1964 to see Camp Morasha, it was an interesting place.
I remember bathing in the lake. I remember brushing teeth with Sprite.
And we jumped in the lake, and that was how we showered for Shabbos more than once.
There was something very simple about the way camp ran.
But the ruach, the chalutziyut.
I came from a home with modest means, from not a yeshiva background, and actually had a scholarship to Camp Morasha.
We wanted to create a camp that would be something unique. And Morasha was named because it is our heritage.
A Yerusha is something which you get without doing anything. A Morasha is something that you have to work for and work hard.
Camp Morasha was not just another summer camp. It was not a sports camp or a Hebrew camp or an Aliyah camp. It was a camp that talked about or stressed the Jewish experience.
My Morasha story actually started when I was in 3rd grade when I didn't get into Camp Morasha. My family was on the famous Morasha waitlist in the 90s. Many years later, when Morasha hired Gach Yudin as their new director in 2006, and he said, Jeremy, come along and work for me at Camp Morasha in programming. And when I heard that, I'm like, Camp Morasha.
The opportunity came to be the director of Camp Morasha. Wow, that was pretty awesome. 2006, our first summer that we were opening, all of a sudden God decided the Arubot HaShamayim were going to be Niftahu. During orientation, it didn't just rain. It was literally a state of emergency. Bridges were collapsing.
But slowly but surely, together with Gach's incredible optimism, his positivity, gave the camp a very special spark that it needed at the time.
And if I could tell a little secret, it was Jeremy Joseph's first summer as assistant program director that summer.
After the first couple of days, Jeremy said to me, he goes, I think I'm going home. I'm out of here. I can't stand this place. It always rains here. It doesn't rain in other camps.
And Jeremy came over and said, I think I'm going to leave because I don't really think there's really much for me to do in Camp Morasha. And I said, Jeremy, I think you're going to find there's a lot for you to do here in camp.
6 years later, when Gach decided to open up his own yeshiva in Israel, Yeshiva Ashrenu, they came over to me and said, Jeremy, would you like to interview to be the next director of camp? And I said, are you out of your mind? But they convinced me to come to an interview. My interview was, here are the top 10 reasons why you should not hire me for this position.
He has a staff that really respects him and works with him and understands that the mission of Morasha goes beyond the 7 values that he's promulgated.
I know that the success of today is solely due to the founders of the camp, the directors that came before me, Zvi Reich, Abi Rahaftik, Ira Spodak, Gach Yudin. These pillars of Camp Morasha.
Zvi Reich and his wife were the directors of the camp for many, many years.
Zvi Reich, I would say his outstanding midah was Gevura.
I respect him very much because he really felt he had something to give to the campers.
He had a vision of how things were supposed to be, and he lived a life that was fully committed to Torah causes.
Rabbi Abi Rahaftig, Alav Shalom, a giant in education.
He was able to make people feel like they truly, genuinely belonged.
But he was an innovator.
He started Sulam in '86, a girls' learning program.
The camp understands that to truly accomplish our mission, the facility has to be top-notch. So of course, the first place you start is with your people. What do we need to build to make your job so much easier? What do we need to build to make the campers' experience so much more meaningful?
Nothing happens just by itself. It all happens by a plan, by a design.
We draw plans and then we have to go through the process. So we get the permits, the foundation, and then you slowly watch a building that was once just an idea in your head come to fruition.
You have to worry about construction and staff and payroll, and it's like you're running a hospital there and you're running a food kitchen and a restaurant.
Like when we built the dining room, literally the day that camp ended, the dining room was demolished. If it wasn't demolished that day, we probably would not have had the dining room ready for the next year.
I'm a big believer that we need to facilitate a mission, and we could only do that with facilities that facilitate that mission.
As the years went by, there was a clear need to upgrade the facilities, the programming, more than anything else.
Sometimes I think how I would love the opportunity to go back in time and ask the girls' head counselors that really built Morasha into what it is today. What were the challenges that you met? How did you deal with that?
And even in those days, even 60 years ago, Morasha was the camp to be at.
We may not have had all the technology, but who needed it? We had a great time.
You want to know that the camp is dynamic, and the camp has to be dynamic. And I've always said any organization that's not dynamic is dying. They may not know it, but they are.
One of the things that we set out to do was to take the camp that had been around for 50 or 60 years and was really beginning to show it, and rebuild the camp so that it could last another 50 or 60 years.
Morasha was always a mission-driven camp, and to really make our campers better Jews and better people, when they leave camp, they board that bus on the last day of camp, and when they got off that bus on the first day of camp.
When I first started Camp Morasha in the year 2000, when it rained, sports shut down. There was nothing really covered besides the boys' gym.
We had no Merkaziyah even, it was just the Pargod.
Over the last 10 or so years, we've really seen the camp change and evolve.
It is so humbling to hear all the alumni speak on these videos to talk about the founding values of the camp. They mirror exactly what we're trying to accomplish in 2023 and beyond.
You go back there today and the place hasn't changed a bit. It's exactly as it was. The smile that people have in that camp is just not found anywhere else.
I have friendships from the beginning of camp that still remain with me today, who are my dearest friends. And Morasha changed my life.